You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And I'm Evan Klosky. I'm back.
Back again. We always appreciate it. And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to all podcasting platforms, as well as our social media channels, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And you can email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Getting right into it, Evan, you are a noted, devoted New York Mets fan. What is wrong with your franchise in the sense that they have to spend $354 million to have a losing record?
Well, money doesn't equal happiness, right? So, look, we all want to have money. We all want to spend the money on these players. But in the end, you have to do so responsibly. And on top of that, you have to then have the players perform. So, I mean, you want to talk about the money they've sunk into this team? Let's talk about it. Brandon Nimmo, he's done pretty well. He's got the contract. He's been all right. You invested $40 million a pop to 40-year-olds, which is risky. It's not. I mean, you're getting them on the tail end of their career after logging all those innings, and I understand the history that they have. But Max is wearing down. Verlander, who knows? He just came back from a month off, and he had a couple of good starts, a couple of bad pitches to Isaac Paredes, which really ruined his outing against the Rays. And then all the supplemental. I mean, look, you paid Edwin Diaz, and the World Baseball Classic knocked him out. Senga, as we saw last night, was fantastic. He can't pitch on the road, but he can pitch at home. Lindor batting like 230, 240. Like, that's not good enough for a guy that's making all that money. Pete hasn't been performing up to his capabilities outside of an early home run tear, which put them on a good win trajectory. The relief pitching is trash. There's nothing in the farm system worth of arms. Anybody, Canna, Eduardo Escobar,
Marte.
Daniel Vogelbach. Marte has been crap this year. Those peripheral pieces, Luis Kiermaier, all these guys who were supposed to help out and did a good job last year, they stink. So now you got to call up the young guys and see if they can do anything. So there's a lot going on, and it really makes you appreciate a little bit what the Rays do because, they build within, they cash out before you go down the tubes, and that's. I know fans want the Rays to spend more money, and I think they can do it sometimes, but ultimately they do end up spending money when they can on their own people, and you saw that with Wander Franco. You saw that a little bit with Manuel Margot. You saw that with Yandy Diaz, Jeffrey Springs. They're very much in favor of the continuity. And, Jose Siri hit another home run. So there you go.
Hey, we're not missing Kevin Kiermaier. It's the Jose Siri show, and we're enjoying it.
That play he did last night, my goodness, was incredible. That running with the backhand to steal McNeil from a double, terrific. And Kevin and I were talking about it before the show. It was going to be very hard for Rays fans to not miss Kiermaier.
Was it though? Because he was always hurt. And there always seemed to be a lot of KK complaints.
First off, look at Kiermaier this year though for Toronto. Yes. He's hitting like 325.
Yeah, he's almost 330, man. Now he's been killing it. Yeah, good for him.
Just need a new hip. He just needed a new hip.
Exactly. Who would have thought?
Like my grandfather, just needed a new hip.
Yeah,
grandfather.
Going back to the way that the Rays and the Mets operate differently, is there not a gray area for this, Evan? Does it have to be very fiscally responsible and conservative like the Rays operate with their budget? And then the other one is just spend willy-nilly like Steve Cohen. Is there not a happy medium between the two organizations where you can find the optimal, point
Yeah, I mean, you have to strike the right balance, of course. Look, Major League Baseball is ass backwards in the way that it does free agency. It really is because, right, the best years are from 20 to 28, and you're under so much control through those years that by the time you become a free agent, you know you're getting 2 to 3 years left of their prime, and the rest of that contract is going to be crap. But to get them, you have to pay for the crap years so that you can get them in the short term. So that's a bit problematic in the structure of baseball, where, that's why you see the Rays, want to immediately pay people. They did it with Brandon Lowe. They did it in a bigger fashion with Wander Franco, who we all think that deal is going to be a steal.
Yeah.
But again, for Wander, he's at least going to be making money for 6 years versus whatever the heck he was going to make and waiting for that big payday.
Yeah.
We even saw that the Rays were trying to get Curtis Mead under contract early.
Mm-hmm.
So, look at the Braves and what they do with their structure. It's no secret that when you feel like you have the talent at a young age, pay them early, deal with the money that you would save during the ARB years and all that crap, the pre-ARB years, and buy out a couple of their free agent years. And that will work itself out in the long term, and then you can let them go and have somebody else pay for the downturn. So, I think that the Rays certainly exaggerate the fiscally responsible side of things, but they are a low payroll team. This year, they've proved that fans can come out, but let's not make it any bigger than what it is. They're still bottom third in the league in attendance. That's just the reality of it. And if they get a new ballpark and they don't have to foot numerous amounts of the bill, they might be willing to make a little bit more of an increase in that payroll. Thanks for doing us a solid, St. Pete. We appreciate the savings. Here's a little bit more money to the team. Oh, fans are coming out. Here's a little bit more money to the team. So that's really, this is really kind of the first year that I've been here and the first year in a long time where a media member can kind of go to Stu Sternberg and say, hey, fans showed up. What are you doing to answer that? And he can't use that. He can't use that sort of like nobody's coming to the ballpark as an excuse. But the Rays fan base needs to remain consistent throughout this year. And the team certainly is proving that you should want to come to the ballpark. They are a ton of fun to watch.
So
maybe they can find
there's
some
a
money
chance.
to hire a pre and post game show host on the radio. They still have yet to do that. They're just spinning their wheels, evidently.
Well, they're filling in with Jay and Z, right? Jay and Zach Blobner. So
highest ratings in the market. I keep saying it. Nobody believes me. I don't get it.
But yeah. So look, the Rays are never going to be big spenders, but I do think that recently we probably leaned on the fact that they're cheap spenders, when in actuality they've been pretty fiscally responsible these past few years, where I don't know if they have operated in this fashion that should upset fans. I don't, name me somebody that they didn't spend enough on Freddie Freeman. I mean, I don't know if Freddie was even going to choose Tampa if there was a competing market. He ended up going to LA, but they went after him. I mean, they just,
they have their price and they're not going to go above or beyond that price. So
correct. Yeah, they paid Eflin, so they do make moves.
Well, I do have to say that they do make moves, but I like the moves that I make when I'm wearing Birddogs. Boys,
can we get that on video? What moves are you making?
I am telling you, when I wear these puppies, people are looking and they are just so happy that I look better because it's a comfortable fit and they're versatile. You can just wear one for the golf course if you're Kevin. You can go to a meeting if you're Evan, or you can hang out with friends and wear these Birddogs. They are tremendous. So
Ulises, let me jump in too. You can also do some construction in the office, like Evan evidently is, by the step ladder that's in his backdrop.
Yeah, you can do those too. Why not? Again, these are
I don't know why that's there. Don't know.
Versatile sweatpants/shorts. So today, go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, and when you enter promo code lockedonmlb, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. Yeah, you heard me right. Okay, so today go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. Get yourself something that's going to make you feel good. And remember to enter that promo code LockedOnMLB, and they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order.
All right, Evan, we're about a quarter pole through the 2023 season, a little bit more than the quarter pole of the season. And I posit this question to you. Who would you crown or name the Rays team MVP as of this recording? Would it be Wander? Would it be Yandy? Would it be Randy? Would it be Shane Mack? Would it be the new rules changes? I don't know.
I'm pretty torn on this. For me, it's a three-way race between Randy, Wander, and Yandy. And
but you have to give it to one.
If I have to give it to one, and to me, I want to say Yandy, but I truly believe, and this is how I'm going to do it, most valuable player. If the Rays ever lost Wander Franco, they'd be it'd be a problem.
Yeah.
Now, not a big problem because Taylor Walls is, whoa.
Holy crap.
Exactly.
Wait, have we even talked with you about Taylor Walls? Because
Taylor Walls, hello.
Oh my goodness, this guy's at more than a 900 OPS right now.
Yeah.
Evan, could you not make the argument that he could be the team MVP?
I would certainly say that when you have championship caliber teams, what Walls and what Josh Lowe and what Bethancourt and Harold Ramirez and all these kind of supplemental players are doing around the stars, that's how you do it. And they're exceeding those expectations. Taylor Walls has taken everything I said about him in 2022 and just shoving it right in my face. Hey, Evan, why don't you take this? Take a little bit of that. It's been fantastic to watch, right? He's always been valuable with the glove. And even talking with him before the season, he said, my job this year going into it was to try to be at least a hard out, to do something. And he's more than that. My goodness. So, but my choice would be Wander. I just think he does everything. He is truly the engine for this offense. He's right in the heart of the defensive alignment. He's been stealing bags. He's going to be a 2020 guy. Mm-hmm. He's going to maybe steal 30 to 40. Oh, wow. Jose Siri almost just robbed Mark Vientos. Wow. Tie game. Holy smokes.
Oh.
Jose Siri.
That's not
jumping
good.
in with the play-by-play.
Yeah. Mark Vientos got called up, and there he goes.
There he goes against Thompson. Oh boy, do we need bullpen help?
That's Evan? A good point. That's a good question to ask at this very moment. But yeah, I'm going to go with Wander. But I do think there's an argument for Yandy and what he does at the top of the lineup, and the home run pace he's on is ridiculous. Unheard of, honestly. With relief pitching help, I would say yes.
What do they need? Do they need another high leverage arm like a Fairbanks and Adam? Do they need somebody to just kind of eat the middle innings like a Thompson, Poche? What do they need?
For me, honestly, what it comes down to is we have to get closer to the trade deadline, because right now the team is okay in a best case scenario, right? I think if you laid out the best case scenario from this point forward, Jeffrey Springs is gone. Let's even assume that Drew Rasmussen is not a thing. Let's just say he's out for a year. Going into the postseason with Glasnow, McClanahan, Eflin, and let's say, Taj Bradley or, Fleming, who's done some great things. One of these bulk guys. I think you're able to get through that. And then you factor in Fairbanks, Adam, Kittridge should be back by the end of the year. Sean Armstrong. You have Poche. You go down the list, and you're okay. I think you're okay. But now let's talk about reality, right? Glass now is constantly injured. I think John Romano at the time said he's never made 13 consecutive starts in a season. So
I've been saying this. He's the Kiermaier of the Rays pitching staff.
I mean, I don't think that's wrong to say, except that I would say Glass now at his peak is better than what KK was. And KK wasn't a loaf either. I mean, I say that with respect. Like Glass now, when he comes back, is going to be a force.
Yeah.
I have huge expectations for him when he returns. And that's him and McClanahan would be an insane 1-2 punch. But, there's that. McClanahan broke down kind of towards the end of last year, had a great postseason, that pitching performance against Cleveland, but he wasn't the same back half guy. Eflin, also an injury-riddled dude. He's never pitched that many innings before, and we'll see how he goes towards the tail end of this year when he's logging more and more innings. Taj Bradley is going to be on innings watch throughout this season. I would imagine there's going to be a phantom IL stint at some point to manage his innings. And so, I mean, it starts when you start thinking of worst case scenario, and again, mentioning Drew won't be available. Even if Drew is back, he might be like this 2-3 inning guy. I think maybe upon going back to like a bullpen role of not forcing him. We'll see. But I just think that Pete Fairbanks, we need to see him pitch in cold weather. Like, it's a problem that he can't pitch in cold weather. Like that's when I need you.
October.
Yeah, I can't have you pitching only in trop games in October. So maybe that can work in a scenario where I get another high leverage guy. What are you going to do? Just split up Jason Adam and Fairbanks? And I mean, the whole point is to have a 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
I mean, very rarely are Rays pitchers going into the 7th. So you need a 7, 8, 9. And you can't just go every day the same 7, 8, and 9. So you need a little bit of depth there. So I think by the deadline, we'll determine where I'm going with this team. Somewhere in that staff, they need to holster it, because while I'm very confident in the depth of this hit, it's crazy how much we flipped a 180 on how we feel about the hitting of this team versus entering the year versus the pitching, because right now the pitching has tons of depth, like entering the year, and it's pretty depleted. Like, we're talking about whether Colby White can make a return towards the end of the year, a guy who we're high on. I mean, his whiff rate is insane, tons of strikeouts, but he's coming off a significant injury, and he's never pitched in Major League Baseball. So what is he going to do?
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of hype for a guy that's yet to pitch a Major League game.
Yeah, so it's an unknown. So, my thing is when you look at the farm system for the Rays, they're pretty depleted with their arms. I mean, outside of Wilcox, Montgomery, and I would say White. I mean,
what would you say?
Seymour? I mean,
What would you say to somebody saying, "Look, you're overreacting. My goodness, Colby White can make a contribution. Andrew Kittridge is going to come back this year as well, and Sean Armstrong is going to come back." What do you say to those people naming those 3 guys as additions to not worry at all about the bullpen?
It's fine to say that, but you have to think about the other side of the coin too. You can't just say that and say, poof, it's going to happen, right? Like, we have to rely on historical references here. Colby White, as we just mentioned, he has not pitched in Major League Baseball, and he's coming off TJ. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know if his stuff's going to be the same. Now, normally there isn't a holdover in success. He should be the same guy before as after, as we've seen with the surgery. But that's not to say he's going to come to the majors and crush it. He might have a learning curve. There might, and you want to throw him in a postseason scenario? Like, I don't know that. Maybe by September I have enough of a sample size to say, hell yeah, this guy's awesome. He's the 8th inning guy. Like, that's possible. I'm not saying he stinks. I'm not saying that. He's an unknown. He's an unknown. He's a question mark. It's so hard to project the future with him as a part of it. If he's there, great. But let's table him until he's healthy, and we've seen him pitch minor league games again, and the stuff's still there, and let's talk about that at a later point. Kittridge, love him, same story. Coming off of Tommy John, how quickly is he going to rebound? Will his stuff look the same? Before the injury, he had that remarkable 21 season. Then last year, before the injury happened, it wasn't as sharp as it was the year before. So which version are we getting out of Kitty? And I love Kittridge, but again, unknown. Love him, optimistic, but it's not something where it's like, boom, he's back, lock it in. Like, no, he's not. So, that's an issue. And then Sean Armstrong, respectfully, last year on the relief in the bullpen, at one point he was the bottom guy. Like, he was the guy he was the oh crap guy. And then they turned him into an opener, and all of a sudden things started clicking a little bit. But like, let's not make Sean Armstrong into this, world beater here. Like, he was like, I don't know where this developed, where it's like, oh, Armstrong will be back. It's like, yeah, I love Armstrong. He's great depth, but he's right there. I mean, to me, there's no difference when you're talking about like Poche, Thompson, all these guys. Like, to me, he's right there in the middle of just trying to ride a hot hand in that group of very good relievers. But I don't know if they're high leverage relievers. They're guys that you need during the regular season. But when push comes to shove in the postseason, it's really going to be who's kind of catching on in August and September. So I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I'm not trying to say that like these guys aren't good enough. All three might be good enough, but nobody out there can tell me that they know that answer right now on May 18th. Yeah. So that's my debate and my questions and what I'm throwing out there. It's not a definitive yes or no. It's that we don't know. And you have to understand there's a gray area.
Yeah. Very fair. That is cogent analysis and observations by Evan there. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell you about our new sponsor called Sorare. Sorare is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams, including the Rays. They didn't forget about the Rays. That's good. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, Sorare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. So, you need to head over to sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today. All right. Evan, to close the show here, we actually have a mailbag question that we wanted to posit to you. This from Darren Hybert, who's checked in with us several times before. His question is this, or comment and question is, I feel like Josh Lowe has benefit from consistent playing time. That being said, our memories would have to be pretty short to not appreciate what Manny Margot can do. Do you like how the Rays are handling their playing time, and what will be the strategy going forward? Does a straight platoon do justice to Josh Lowe?
Here's my response right now. Why fix something that's working so beautifully? If Josh Lowe is succeeding with the amount of at-bats that he's getting, I don't think you need to press more on him. And I think that's the beautiful part about this team, right? I think there's a quality of A, not breaking down, B, kind of staying fresh, but also the fact that they're not kind of being put into situations where they develop bad habits. They're kind of working off good mood to good mood, game to game. And I'm worried about with more at-bats with some of these guys outside of the Randys, the Wanders, the Yandis. Those guys are staples. Everyone else, to me, if you maybe expose them more, then they're not going to be as productive as we've seen. It's right, like Taylor Walls, we love him this year, right? And Brandon Lowe, a lot of people have been crapping on him, but his swing's back because he just hit a 2-run home run. So that's a 4-2 ball game. as the Tampa Bay Rays are a wagon off of Adam Ottavino. So the fact is, if you play them more, I'm afraid that they're going to get exposed. And going back to my Taylor Walls point is, let's say that Wander Franco goes down and you play Taylor Walls every day. I have a tough time believing that Wallsy isn't going, all of a sudden that average is going to go down a little bit. All of a sudden that OBP is going to go down a little bit. It's just, you're not going to get the same version of them. So I think the strength of this team is that truly, and I think you see a lot of cliches out there in baseball all the time about this, truly from one Wander Franco to maybe the bottom of the bench, who I don't know who we would say, Francisco Mejia,
Luke Raley,
who's at the bottom, regardless, these guys are playing. They're getting a lot of at-bats. Yeah. And the Rays are using them situationally and setting them up for success. So Josh Lowe is playing a lot of times because there are numbers working in his favor in certain matchups. Manuel Margot is getting those looks as well in certain matchups. Luke Raley is getting that in certain matchups. They're sitting Brandon Lowe against tough lefties. They are mixing and matching and putting people in places to succeed. So it's not just a straight line. Everyone plays, and you go through the ups and downs of facing bad matchups. They are setting everyone up for success. And in doing so, you're seeing the fruits of that labor. You're seeing them all come through at different points in the season, and that's why the numbers are the way they are. And that's what we're missing a little bit from the pitching side of things, especially when we look back at the Yankee series of how not confident Cash was into putting some guys out there, forcing Ryan Thompson out there a little longer.
Yep.
And he blew it up. And it's like he did his job, and then you kind of made him do more.
Shane McClanahan, he didn't trust the bullpen, He
didn't try. He tried to get more out of him and said, so he doesn't have those fears with hitting. He's out there in the 7th and 8th inning. You're in, you're out. Switch here. And, we can go back to, removing Josh Lowe from the game in the Bronx where he was hot as a pistol for Manuel Margot. To me, I didn't like that move. But, I think once in a blue moon, you have to be emotional. I think that's the one element that Kevin Cash misses come postseason time. Yep. You need a little feel. You need a little bit of just, you know what? I'm gonna put some more money on this blackjack hand because I'm riding a damn heater right now, and I just need to sometimes you just got to do it.
Gut feel.
And I get it. Obviously, most of the time you should go with the data, the analysis. That's why it's there.
But sometimes you got to stiff arm a nerd.
But sometimes you have to remember that these are human beings that are playing the game. They're not just Excel spreadsheet numbers. And that if Josh Lowe is feeling good and he is at the plate feeling like a damn king, let the damn king swing the bat.
And in that instance, I agree with that. And that's, I think a lot of people are more emotional, where I appreciate Kevin Cash for not being emotional, but that's the line that, Kevin Cash just keeps it pretty. He is the same. He's consistent, and I respect that. Yeah. You know what you're getting. He's never done anything differently. So I respect that. But I do think playoff time, you need a little bit of marbles. You need some marbles, and you just need to go with. I just need you to say, like, I felt it, and if you don't do that all the time, and like to me, you're just like in that situation. If I rather go down with Lowe than Manuel in that situation, and that's kind of how I think in those scenarios. Like, am I going to regret that? And to me that was a regret. But who cares? I mean, that game was that game was lost. That was not like the reason why they lost or other things that led up to it. But those are just my things. And wrapping back to the point of going back to Josh Lowe and needing more at bats. Let them hitting do their thing where they play selective matchups and rotate guys in and out and make favorable matchups. People are surprised why these guys are performing well, and it's because of the confidence of the bench. It's just there is no weak link. There really is not. And that's the scary part about this team come playoff time is how well they are going to match up with teams and their pitching prowess from the first, second, third, fourth, whatever you throw at us. We got someone for this. We got someone for that. We got someone. He can go out there and we'll move first to third baseman to second baseman to outfield. Like, they don't care. Like, everyone does everything. It's genius. It's genius. And it's like, you're seeing all the guys who have won titles in the minors now doing this stuff at the majors.
I know it sounds cliche, but this team's biggest strength is the collective. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Is that they're just stronger together, and you can keep guys warm and ready at any point in time in the game.
Yeah, and that's the DNA of really the franchise since the ownership group took over. And it's not like, oh, we lost Aaron Judge, we suck now. Like, it's one guy goes down, another guy steps up and fills. So, quick question before we end things here. Actually, two questions. Yes or no? Will Shane McClanahan serve an IL stint this year?
How am I supposed to know that? Yes. I mean, I'll go with the odds. The probabilities are probably he will serve one versus not serve one. So, but I'm not expecting it. I don't think that there's anything that alerts me to that.
Okay. Same question, but for Zach Eflin.
Yes. Mostly because he already served a short one for his back. So I imagine if that's a chronic thing that's got to be taken care of, they'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Odd questions.
But I don't know. I can't predict injuries.
I'm just saying the team might need some starting pitching help at some point.
For sure. And if you want, I mean, you know, for me, I already floated it out there. There's no trade. Like, people want trades. Trade. No one's making trades in May. Okay, people are in it right now. There are two teams who probably are looking for trades right now if they can find the right one: the Royals and the Athletics. Those two teams are definitely out of it. So if you want to trade for like a Brad Keller, if you want to make a hero-sized offer for Aroldis Chapman, because if you do it now,
Aroldis Chapman, he is not. The Rays would never go after him.
I'm just saying. I'm just telling you the people who are available.
That's fair.
I mentioned Adrian Martinez of the Athletics. I look at his pitches. I think there's something there with his slider. So he wouldn't cost much. But outside of that, like, you know, and Brad Keller would be kind of a, hey, Kyle Schneider, you think you can make this guy not walk the farm? Like, if he doesn't, I think we got a guy who can eat up some innings this season. So yeah, I think it's but we're seeing that from them. They're not making trades, but they got Diekman, they got Zach Littell, they're bringing up Zach Birdie again. They're doing these shapeshifter moves, and they're testing it out. They brought in Javi Guerra, he's back at Durham. They'll probably bring him up at some point this year again. So they're not making deals, but they're getting guys, they're getting people throwing the pen. And if they get one more starting pitching injury, you bring up Chirinos, you bring up I'm not worried about the regular season. But come trade deadline, we have to talk about who is going to be in that playoff rotation. And that's why people just need to take a step back, understand it's a 162 game season. And personally, you should not be trading for pitching on May 18th when, let's say you trade for them and they get injured. What are you going to do now? Huh? Why not give them another 2 months with another team and make sure that you're not trading something that's about to go down for the year like, you don't know. You just don't know with pitchers. I wait until the last possible, at least not the last possible moment, maybe like a week before, but at least get me closer to the deadline. So at least I know what I'm getting versus assuming a lot of the risk by grabbing you now and then hoping you stay healthy the whole year.
Doug Wechter, start warming up that arm. Start hitting the gym.
I think I still think he hits the gym. You see that guy? He's ready to hurl another inning or two.
Yeah.
He talks baseball, he sells real estate, and he hits the gym. And the Rays might need him at some point.
Swear, that's also what Kevin Weiss does.
That's accurate. No lies told there. All right, Evan, where can people find your work?
Follow me on Twitter at eklosky.wtsp, Instagram at eklosky. Head to 10tampabay.com. We always are posting stuff, not just on the Rays, but Buccaneers, Lightning. We're in the off season right now for both of those teams, so It's Rays time, baby. The Rays have been waiting years for this summer coverage because the Lightning are not in it anymore, and they picked a hell of a time to have a great team because they're going to get it. So we'll be all over that. And again, I'm usually posting some musings about the Rays every day on Twitter, at least some thought, some question. So send it my way. As long as you're not a jerk, I'll answer.
Yeah, and as long as you're not a Twitter bot and you have a
That too.
real picture as your avatar, whatever. All right. Thank you, Evan. We appreciate it. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.